Excuse me, Mr. Ant-Man, do you have a moment to talk about your new movie? Mr. Ant-Man? I see how it is. No time for the little people, huh? I see how it is. You know how people throw around the phrase quantity over quality? Well, that's how I describe Ant-Man and the Wasp, because there's so much going on in this movie, and none of it gets the attention it deserves. There's a lot of moving parts, and none of them really coalesce to come to a greater sum. And this movie's really scatterbrained. It doesn't really focus on any one thing. It kind of just throws a lot of different things at you, and kind of asks you to follow along, even though they never explain, oh, where did this person come from? Where did this person come from? These people kind of just show up left and right in this movie, and you kind of just have to go along with it, because if you stop to think about anything in this movie that goes on for too long, you are going to lose your mind. So supposedly in this movie you got Ant-Man, Scott Lang, and the Wasp, who is Hope, and they kind of team up with the old Ant-Man, Hank Pym, to save the old Wasp, who is Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie, from the quantum zone, quantum realm. She shrunk down to a microscopic level 30 years ago, and she's never been able to escape that microverse. I guess that's what they call it in the comic books. I don't know why they don't just call it the microverse here. In the movie, it's much easier to say quantum realm. Microverse. I mean, just spit it out. Anyway, supposedly the main focus of this movie is trying to save her. Supposedly the main focus of this movie is trying to save her from the really tiny land that kind of gets lost in all the other subplots that are introduced. You got all the other subplots that are introduced. Three different villains in this movie. Neither of them different villains in this movie. Neither of them really. There are a lot of relationships in this movie. There are a lot of relationships in this movie. They deserve do not get the time. And so it's hard to really kind of connect. And so to anybody who wasn't in the first film. Even the dialogue. There are some really awful lines in this movie that just had my eyes rolling to the back of my head. I could not believe that these professional actors who have been doing their thing for decades, like Michelle Pfeiffer or Michael Douglas, were saying some of the stuff they were saying. And this movie's not even a good science fiction movie. When they take time to break down all the science mumbo-jumbo, it takes forever, and they keep coming back to explaining all this boring crap that they can't explain well. They don't get it across. I walked out of this movie not understanding a thing more about the microverse that I didn't already know walking out of the first Ant-Man movie. And the action sequences in this movie are fun. They utilize growing and shrinking in really unique ways. I mean, that's what makes Ant-Man so unique from inside the MCU, so you kind of got to embrace that, and they do, and they do so more in this sequel, and it's fun to see them chuck things like salt and make it bigger in midair, or a Hello Kitty Pez dispenser, and watching somebody dodge a giant one of those in slow motion. It's fun, and the jokes come at you about 100 miles an hour in this movie. A lot of them land, a lot of them don't. I think the funniest joke in this movie for me was the Stan Lee cameo. The Stan Lee cameo in this movie is probably the best in the 20 MCU movies that we've had this far. It had me rolling. I probably should have looked up the little girl who plays Scott's daughter before this, but whoever that actress is, she is just adorable. She took my heart with this movie. I loved her in the first one. She gets even more to do in this one. To see her and Scott/Paul Rudd interact, it's heartwarming, and probably the best scenes in this movie are between Scott and his daughter. And then you have Evangeline Lilly, who finally gets to start kicking some butt in this movie as the Wasp. She puts on the uniform, she's flying around, she's shrinking, and she is so good. She's so good in this movie. Ooh, between her and the father-daughter scenes, it's tough to decide, but definitely Evangeline Lilly is a standout in this movie. This movie definitely could have benefited from more Evangeline Lilly. Hope. The writing in this movie, I cannot emphasize it enough. It is the worst writing, bar none, for an MCU movie. And I don't really care halfway through. I was just like checking my watch, wondering when was this going to end, because I just wanted it to be over. I've never had that experience with an MCU movie before. This is their 20th movie. I've at least liked all of them up till now. So I guess I gotta cut Marvel some slack after a decade of doing this. and putting out 19 previous films that I at least liked. I give Ant-Man and the Wasp a C-, begrudgingly. I really loved the first Ant-Man. I wanted to love this Ant-Man. Didn't work out that way. And again, I can't go into spoilers, but the first post-credits scene, well, it's not post-credits, it's mid-credits scene. It's gonna leave a lot of you shook, as they intended, but it's not. I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna go into spoilers. There is a official post-credits stinger. I'm just gonna tell you, I don't think it was worth the wait. And there's just so much more I want to talk about. I don't want to spoil it for you because it just came out. I know a lot of people are digging this movie, so I want to hear from you guys. What did you think about Ant-Man and the Wasp? Hit me up in the comment section below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you liked this video, and do it if you didn't. Alright guys, until next time, take care.